She walked into the building every morning with silence in her steps. She wasn't a manager, not even a secretary, just a cleaner. But her story would shake the entire company. Amina was 29 years old. She worked as a cleaner for Global Vantage Holdings in Abuja, 18 floors, 300 staff, and only 3 cleaners. Amina was the quietest of them all. She swept floors, wiped tables, and cleaned toilets every morning, sometimes before anyone arrived. She wore the same blue uniform every day, and her black headscarf was always neat. Even when her shoes were broken, she didn't complain. She didn't ask for more. And nobody knew where she disappeared every afternoon. Every day at exactly 1:15 p.m., Amina would leave for her lunch break. But instead of eating in the staff canteen, she packed her food in old takeaway packs and walked to the back of the building, toward the abandoned lot behind the warehouse. There, she would find them. 3 men in wheelchairs, a woman with one eye, a boy with twisted legs, and a blind girl who always hummed softly. They sat on old wooden chairs under a mango tree. Amina kneeling, serving rice. "I added extra fish for you today, Uncle Sani." Sani, smiling weakly. "God bless you, my daughter. You serve like a queen." No one knew what she did, not her colleagues, not even her supervisor. Meanwhile, upstairs in the penthouse office, someone was watching. His name was Mr. Adito Kumbo George, CEO, billionaire, owner of Global Vantage Holdings. A man surrounded by rumors. Some say he was cold. Others said he never smiled. No one had seen him in months. But behind his dark glass window, he had been watching. One afternoon, while reviewing security footage from the warehouse cameras, something caught his eye. Mr. George, pointing at the screen. "Who is that cleaner, and why is she feeding beggars every day behind my building?" His assistant, Mrs. Dada, hesitated. "Her name is Amina, sir. She's been with us for 3 years. Always quiet. Never asked for a raise." He didn't respond. He just kept watching the screen. Mr. George began watching the camera feed every afternoon, exactly at 1:15 p.m. For 1 week, he saw the same thing. Amina smiling, Amina serving, Amina kneeling beside the disabled, and Amina walking back with an empty food flask. Quietly, he zoomed in on her face once, and for the first time in years, his eyes softened. He saw something no CV could show, something no board meeting could teach. Pure, unshakable kindness. On the 8th day, it rained heavily. The skies wept like heaven had opened its gates. The staff stayed indoors. Cars refused to move. But at exactly 1:15 p.m., Amina stepped outside, wearing a black nylon bag on her head, carrying a flask. Mrs. Dada watching from the office. "Sir," she's going again. In the rain. Mr. George stood slowly. For the first time in years, he left his office. He walked to the window, watching Amina disappear through the storm. Narrator. Something broke inside him, and something else began to heal. Later that day, he asked Mrs. Dada to bring him Amina's file. What he found shocked him. Monthly salary, 32,000 Nigerian nairas. No bonuses, no family listed. Lives in Mararaba, a slum on the outskirts of Abuja. Takes a bus every morning by 4:30 a.m. Still never late. He put the file down and called a private investigator. "Mr. George, find out everything you can about her." Quietly. Later that night, we see Amina walking in the rain through a flooded street. She opens the door to her small room. No bed, just a mat. On the wall hangs a photo of her late father, a disabled war veteran. Amina, whispering to the photo, "I couldn't save you, Baba, but I can feed others like you." Her kindness came from a wound no one could see except the one who was finally watching. The next morning, Amina is sweeping as usual, but something is different. Everyone in the office is staring at her. Colleague 1, "Is that her?" The girl in the company email? Colleague 2. The CEO sent her name to the board. She doesn't understand. Until Mrs. Dada walks up to her and says, Mrs. Dada, gently, Amina, Mr. George would like to see you in his office. Now. Amina, confused. Me? What did I do? The elevator opens. She steps in, and as the doors close, she's about to enter a room that will change her life forever. She had never seen this part of the building. Marble floors, golden wall clocks, silence like a courtroom. She was just a cleaner. What did the billionaire want from her? The elevator stopped at the 18th floor. Amina stepped out slowly, eyes wide. Everything glittered. The receptionist stood as she entered. Receptionist, you're Amina, right? Please go in, he's waiting. The door creaked open to reveal a massive office overlooking Abuja's skyline. Behind the desk sat Mr. Adito Kumbo George, tall, calm, in a crisp gray suit. Mr. George, without looking up. You're Amina. Amina, nervous. Yes, sir. Good morning. Mr. George, softly. Sit. She sat on the edge of the chair, confused and afraid. Mr. George, do you know why you're here? Amina, quietly. No, sir. Mr. George, I've been watching you. Her heart stopped. Mr. George turned screen toward her. Do you recognize this? It was security footage. Her feeding the disabled under mango tree. Amina, gasping. You recorded me? Mr. George, gently. Not to embarrass you. I needed to see if it was real. Every single day, you go out there and give your food away. Amina's hands trembled. Amina, sir, I wasn't trying to show off. I didn't think anyone noticed. Mr. George, that's exactly why it matters. You gave without knowing you were seen. He stood up slowly. Mr. George, tell me, why do you do it? Amina, because someone once did it for me. The screen fades to a flashback. 10 years ago, a younger Amina sat under a bridge in Kano, holding her sick father's hand. They were homeless. She was 19. Her father had lost both legs in the army. They begged for food daily, until one woman, a nurse named Halima, brought food and medicines every evening. Young Amina, crying, why do you help us? Nurse Halima, because one day you'll help someone else. That's how we change the world. Amina never forgot those words, even when her father died, even when she came to Abuja with nothing. Mr. George, do you know what was 10 years ago? Amina, no, sir. Mr. George, I was in a wheelchair. Amina's eyes widened. Mr. George, an accident, spine injury. I couldn't walk for 2 years. I was angry, bitter. Everyone left me, except one woman. He walked slowly to the window. Mr. George, she was a nurse. Her name was Halima. Amina gasps. Her hands cover her mouth. Amina, Halima? Nurse Halima from Kano. Mr. George turns surprised. You knew her? Amina, tears welling. She fed my father and me every day. Mr. George, softly. She passed away 5 years ago, but I've never forgotten her. 2 strangers, now joined by one woman's legacy. Mr. George, she changed both our lives. And now you're doing the same for others. He sits again. Mr. George, you're not just a cleaner. Amina, you're a seed, and it's time for you to grow. He presses a button. Mrs. Dada enters, holding an envelope. Mr. George, inside is your new contract. Amina opens it slowly. Her eyes scan the figures. She covers her mouth. Amina, in disbelief. Sir, the salary. Mr. George, that's your new role, Community Outreach Manager. And this is just the beginning. Mr. George, but before you accept, I have one question. Amina nods slowly. Mr. George, If I give you 5 million naira right now, would you stop feeding those people? She looks down at her hands. The room is silent. Amina, firmly, no, sir. I don't feed them because I'm poor. I feed them because they are... He smiles for the first time. Later that evening, a black car pulls up behind the warehouse. The disabled group under the mango tree watches in shock. Sani, is that Amina coming in a suit? She steps out of the car with hot food boxes and water bottles. Amina, kneeling again. Today you eat like kings. They cheer, laugh, cry. Blind girl, you smell different today, Auntie Amina. Amina, smiling. Maybe kindness finally wore perfume. One act of kindness led to another, and the seed Nurse Halima planted grew into a mighty tree. Amina had been seen, but more importantly, she had been understood. Mr. George in voiceover. She thought I was the one with power, but she had the kind of power money can't buy. From cleaner to community manager, from silence to spotlight. But while Amina's world was changing, not everyone was clapping. In the shadows of the boardroom, envy was stirring. Inside the corporate boardroom, men and women in suits murmured as they passed around a paper. Board member 1, he promoted a cleaner. Board member 2, to community outreach manager with a 6-figure salary. Board member 3, smirking. What did she do? Wash his feet. Laughter. But one woman, Mrs. Dada, slammed her pen. Mrs. Dada. She fed the forgotten for 3 years, with her own food and no audience. Silence. Mrs. Dada. What have any of us done without being paid? In her small Mararaba room, Amina packs her few belongings into a small box. A white van pulls up. Driver. Are you Amina? Amina. Yes. Driver. Mr. George asked me to take you to your new apartment. She looked stunned. From concrete floor to polished tile. From kerosene lantern to generator-powered lights. Amina's new home was modest, but safe, clean, and full of promise. That evening, Amina receives her first official email on a new company laptop. Subject: Phase 1, Esther Soup Kitchen launch plan. She's confused. She rushes to Mr. George's office the next morning. Amina, sir, who is Esther? Mr. George, smiling. You are. Amina, sir, Mr. George. Every great movement needs a name. Amina means truth. Esther means star. You are both. So we begin with your light. Meanwhile, in a luxury lounge in Maitama, board member Kola speaks with 2 other executives. Kola, he's building a charity brand around her. If he dies, she'll inherit more goodwill than we ever will. Board member 4. So what's the plan? Kola, smiling coldly. Let's see if her kindness can survive fire. Let's give her what she's never had. Power. And then we'll see if she falls. Amina is given 2 million Nigerian nairas to manage the soup kitchen's opening. She hires a cook, orders ingredients, and arranges permits. Everything is perfect until the cook vanishes with the money. Her first test wasn't speech. It was betrayal. Amina, crying on the floor. I failed, Baba. I failed the trust he gave me. Mrs. Dada arrives. Mrs. Dada, you didn't fail. You believed in someone. That's not failure. That's leadership. Real leaders hurt sometimes. Amina wipes her tears and stands up. Amina, let's find another cook. And this time, let's hire 2 widows I fed before. Days later, a banner waves. Esther's Soup Kitchen, feeding hope daily. Hundreds of disabled, homeless, and jobless line up. Amina walks out in a green native dress, holding a mic. Amina, you are not forgotten. Not today. Not ever again. The line stretched past the building. Old men, young orphans, blind women. Each one left full, not just of food, but of hope. From across the road, a black SUV watches. Inside, Mr. George sits quietly. Mr. George. She didn't break. She bloomed. After the food service, Amina introduces a job list and health check station. Amina speaking. Today we fed you. Tomorrow you will feed others. We rise together. Cheers. Tears. Cameras click. The media reports. Ex-cleaner launches life-changing initiative in Abuja. Amina's kitchen feeds 400 in a day. But that night, Kola receives a call from one of the kitchen volunteers. Volunteer, nervous. Sir, Amina is planning to expand to other cities. She's going to request a 50 million Nigerian Nairas fund. Kola, chuckling. Perfect. The higher she flies, the sweeter the fall. Kindness lifted her. But now, power will test her. They celebrated her. They called her an angel in native clothes. But not all angels wear wings. And not all enemies come from outside. Sometimes they sit beside you at the table you built. In the company conference room, Amina stands confidently before a whiteboard. Behind her, large posters show photos of the newly launched Esther's Soup Kitchen. Amina, pointing to the board, Lagos, Kaduna, Port Harcourt. We can reach 5,000 people in 1 month. Mr. George, smiling, what do you need? Amina, Nigerian Naira 50 million. For logistics, staffing, permits, and basic food stocks. The boardroom goes silent. Board member Kola, raising an eyebrow. That's a lot of money for a former janitor. Amina stiffens. Mr. George sits forward. Mr. George, she's not a janitor. She's the reason Global Vantage is on every newspaper front page. For the right reason. Mrs. Dada, the world is watching. Let's not be the reason it turns away. Kola, smiling. Very well. Let's fund her. Let's see what she does with the weight of real power. Amina receives a 50 million Nigerian Nairas in a new account created for the foundation. She hires 12 new staff across 3 states, mostly volunteers, widows, and former street beggars. She works day and night with a small, trusted team, especially her assistant, Joy, a soft-spoken young woman she met during her cleaner days. Joy, Amina, are you sleeping at all? Amina, smiling tiredly. Sleep can wait. Hungry people can't. One morning, headlines explode. Nigerian Naira 50 million disappears in Amina's soup kitchen scam. Whistleblower claims fraud in feeding program. Amina wakes to 47 missed calls. The kitchen is surrounded by reporters. Her volunteers scatter. Her phones ring nonstop. She rushes to the office. Amina, panicked. What's happening? Who said we stole money? Mrs. Dada is already waiting. Mrs. Dada grave. Someone leaked internal transactions. Claims that money is missing. Amina, confused. But we have receipts for every bag of rice, every burner pot. I documented everything. The company sends an external auditor. 3 weeks of files, receipts, inventory records, and volunteer logs are reviewed. Tension grows. Mr. George goes silent. He does not answer Amina's calls. The same people who praised her now watched her like a thief. The weight of 50 million Nigerian Nairas sat on her shoulders, and a knife was being carved into her back. One night, Amina visits a storage house and finds Joy counting money and whispering into her phone. She listens from the shadows. Joy whispering, "Yes, sir, I'll move the rest of the other account tonight. She won't notice. She trusts me too much." Amina's legs go weak. She gasps, and a plank creaks beneath her foot. Joy turns, shocked. Joy, Amina, you're here. Amina, heartbroken. It was you. You? Joy, sobbing. I didn't mean to. They said if I didn't do it, they'd hurt my brother. Kola said. She breaks down. The next day, Amina walks straight into the boardroom during a meeting. Mr. George is seated. Kola is laughing with other executives. Amina drops a brown envelope on the table. Amina, that's your proof. Joy confessed. She was working under orders from you, Mr. Cola. Cola, laughing. You expect us to believe this cleaner over a board member? Amina, I expected people to act like human beings. But since we're now animals in suits, I'll let the law sort us out. She walks out. Silence falls. Mr. George looks up slowly. Mr. George, coldly. Get him out of my company. Security enters. Cola's smirk fades as he's escorted out. Mr. George calls a press conference. Mr. George to reporters. Amina is not only innocent, she is the reason we're still respected in communities where we once caused suffering. We failed her, but she never failed us. Amina, I forgive Joy. She's still part of my journey. Betrayal doesn't end a mission, it strengthens it. That night, as Amina rests in her new home, she receives a handwritten letter with no return address. It reads, "The world is bigger than Nigeria. Come to Kenya. Help us build what you started. A stranger once fed me in Abuja. Now it's my turn to return the light." She looks up slowly. She survived the fire. Now, her flame is being called beyond borders. Her name had traveled farther than her feet had walked, from a mop in Abuja to microphones in Nairobi. But no story ever walks forward without pulling the past behind it. Amina steps off the plane. She's greeted by a smiling man in traditional Maasai attire, holding a sign that reads, "Welcome, Amina, our angel of the streets." Maasai guide, bowing respectfully. "We heard what you did for your people. Now we want to do the same for ours." Amina, smiling. "Then let's begin with one plate and see how many tables we can build." Amina tours slums in Kibera, one of Africa's largest informal settlements. She sees mothers boiling stones to keep children hopeful, children sniffing glue to forget hunger. Amina, voice trembling. It's like staring at my own past, but in another mirror. She meets Mama Adino, a widow feeding 15 orphans with leftover market scraps. Mama Adino, we don't need a miracle, just a little more kindness from people who have more than enough. Backed by a few wealthy Kenyan businesswomen and international donors, Amina establishes a pilot soup kitchen. Volunteers come from different faiths and tribes. Children sing as food is served. One little boy prays before eating. "Little boy, thank you, God, for this food, and thank you for the Nigerian woman who brought it." CNN Africa arrives to interview her. Journalist, "You're being called the Mother Teresa of modern Africa. How does that feel?" Amina, "I'm just someone who knows what hunger feels like. Titles are for the history books. Bread is for today." The story trends globally. She is invited to speak at the United Nations Africa Forum in Addis Ababa. After her speech, a guest slips her a note. It reads, "I once fired you, then I went blind. Today, I see clearer than ever. I'm sorry." Amina turns around and her mouth falls open. It's Mr. Ojo, her very first employer, who once mocked and sacked her for being slow and unprofessional. He is now wheelchair-bound and partially blind. Mr. Ojo, trembling, "Your story reached my hospital bed. I cried, 'Amina, for what I did to you.' Amina, kneeling, teary-eyed, 'You're alive. That means you still have a second chance. Come join us.'" Inspired by the moment, Amina proposes a radical idea. What if every African country had one center for kindness? Just one kitchen, one shelter, one hope space. The Coalition of Kindness is born. From Senegal to South Africa, people begin reaching out. Diaspora Nigerians in the UK and US raise funds to support her next launch. Amina writes in her journal, "Once, I mopped floors to survive. Today, I sweep borders to unite hearts." But the journey is far from over. She visits an orphanage near Mount Kenya. She sees a child with one hand feeding another child who is blind. She begins to cry. Narrator, there are moments when pain echoes louder than words. And sometimes healing doesn't come from speeches, but from the way two children share a spoon. As she sits by the fire in Kenya, sipping tea, a letter arrives from Mr. George. It reads, "We miss your light here. The new board is cold. The people have stopped smiling. Amina, it's time to come back. Nigeria needs you again." She folds the letter, eyes heavy. Just when she thought her roots had grown into another land, destiny knocks again, asking her to return to the beginning. When you leave your homeland with pain in your soul, returning isn't a homecoming, it's a reckoning. Amina steps into Lagos, greeted by journalists, a handful of supporters, and protesters. Some praise her, others wave placards. Fake Messiah, where were you when we suffered? In a country where trust is scarce, even kindness must pass through fire. She smiles softly, then whispers, "Amina, let them shout. I once shouted to into an empty night." She meets with Mr. George and a few old friends. "George, Amina, the system has changed. Politicians now want to own your project. They say you must partner or stop." Amina is stunned. She visits government officials. One senator offers her a 50 million Nigerian nairas support grant, but demands 40% ownership of her NGO. Amina, calm but firm. You can't buy love, and you can't tax kindness. When light returns to a dark room, the rats will always scurry. At her first charity relaunch in Abuja, everything goes wrong. The food truck is missing. The stage is vandalized, and the venue permit is suddenly revoked. Her trusted project manager, Keen, disappears, with 15 million Nigerian nairas in funds. Amina, weeping, he was like a brother. Sometimes, it's not strangers who cut you. It's those you taught how to hold the knife. Amina falls into depression. She locks herself away in her old, tiny apartment, the same place where she once fed street beggars. Voiceover from her diary. Maybe I flew too close to the sun. Maybe Nigeria isn't ready. Or maybe I'm just tired. Then a knock. She opens the door. It's a young boy dressed in rags. "Boy, are you Amina? The woman who once fed my mama at Burger Bus Stop? She died, but she told me, if I'm ever hungry, I should look for you." She breaks down. Right there, hugging the boy. Inspired again, Amina makes a public video. Amina, on social media, passionate. "You can steal from me. You can mock me. You can slander me. But I will not stop feeding the hungry. I will not stop building hope." The video goes viral. Over 30 million views. Donations flood in, not from politicians, but ordinary Nigerians. Fishermen, teachers, tailors, students. The poor began to lift the poor, and something sacred awakened in the soil of Nigeria. Amina organizes something new, the Kindness Market, a weekly event where people bring what they have, extra food, shoes, books, and trade with others in need. No money, only giving. One man trades a bag of Gary for school sandals. Another gives a bucket of water in exchange for a jacket. Old woman, my own children don't feed me, but today a stranger gave me soup. And slowly, Lagos begins to remember what it means to be family. A year later, Amina is nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. She's invited to New York, but she declines. Amina on TV. There's still mouths unfed in Kano, still girls being sold in Sokoto. Why should I wear a gold medal while someone sleeps in the gutter? Instead, she uses the platform to raise global funds for African-led kindness initiatives. Back at her now small home, surrounded by volunteers and orphans, Amina cooks jollof rice. Little girl, "Auntie Amina, are you rich now?" Amina, smiling, "Yes, my love, very, very rich." She never wore a crown. She never sat in a palace. But her name was spoken in alleys and huts, with tears and thanksgiving, because she fed the world one broken soul at a time.